Happy Wednesday, everybody. How are you? I'm Dr. Twanna Carter, and I am a career transition coach. And welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to chit chat a little bit, give folks time to hop on. And while I do that, I want to go ahead and check my feed to be sure I am popping up live and you can actually hear me. So if you can actually hear me, drop a yes in the comments to let me know you can because I have done a live or two and the audience can hear me a little bit. So I try as much as possible not to do that, and so I think we'll be okay. You guys just kind of clue me in and let me know where I am. All right, so yes, we are live. At least I've popped across all the platforms and looks like we are live. And I do again thank you for joining me. Like I said, I'm Dr. Tawana Carter, a career transition coach, and I help professional women overcome that fear and anxiety that can kind of come with shifting into a new, shifting or transitioning into a new career. And I do that by empowering them to recognize and communicate their unique value and by instilling a deep sense of belief in their own abilities and their own strengths and their skills so they can confidently and courageously create success on their own terms and pursue a path of purpose that is meaningful to them. So, if you see the previews, you know tonight that we're talking about 5 reasons why people change careers, right? Now, there's just people can change careers for all kinds of, just for a huge variety of reasons. I know for me, I've completed 11 career transitions over, my lifetime, the last one being into full-time entrepreneurship. And so, yeah, I kind of get just a skosh experience with why people change their careers, right? And so, if you're listening tonight, it's possible that you've been considering a career change. That's certainly one of the things that has come about because of the pandemic, right? And it could be lots of things going on, right? So, if you have questions or if you have comments, you should be able to make them right there and I will see them. And I appreciate engagement. If you have questions to ask, please do so, right? Now, you know, again, lots of reasons, a variety of reasons why people change their careers. So let's look at some of the reasons why. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Number one is higher salary and better benefits, right? About 39% of the people who change careers, they did so to get a higher salary, right? Now, it's sometimes depending on how you change in that career, like if you're doing a 180 turn, you're starting in a brand new career field, you could get a high salary, you could get a low, but a career change is really a good option that often leads to a higher salary if you know what you're doing, right? And really, the median pay raise for people that transition careers, they typically get a 3 to 5% raise. And I've had clients to actually get more than that. I've had some clients who've got a 25% raise, who got a 20% raise. So, but the median though is 3 to 5% salary increase when you change those careers. So, some people are, I've spoken with some people, I've known some people that do it. They're like, I just don't like where I am. I will take a pay cut as long as I get out of here. But if you get a good career coach, you should not need to take a pay cut to do a career change. I know there's a lot of fears that people have. I'm afraid to go anywhere else because I can't afford to make less money. But you may not need to take a pay cut. Again, if you get a good career coach, you do the research, and you look at what you're applying for. Because at the end of the day, just because you're offered a job, right, you don't have to take it. So if it's making less than what you need, you don't have to take it. But I get it. Some folks are really into their passion and purpose. And again, some people are so miserable. It's like, oh, I'll jump in that basket. I'll take the pay cut as long as I leave. So I have seen people do that. So that was reason number one is people want higher salary and better benefits. And especially during this time right now because a lot of folks are walking away from jobs because they don't want to go back to the office. Some of them prefer a hybrid schedule. And so when we talk about it's not always about the money, Sometimes it's about the benefits, being able to have that flexible schedule, being able to have more time off, more vacation days, more stock options. So a number of things will come with that higher salary and better benefits, right? So if you have made a career shift and got high for a higher salary, drop salary in the comments. Let me know if you've done that. I have. I fully admit I have changed jobs to get that higher salary, right? Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Okay. So the second reason that people change their careers, poor leadership. Again, you've heard it said that people don't leave bad companies, they leave, I won't say piss poor leadership, but yeah, piss poor management. Yeah, I said that. But many people will leave because of poor leadership. And let's just be honest. Not everyone in a leadership position or management position was trained to be there. Not everybody's trained to be there. And when leaders don't get the training they need and managers don't get the training they need, it can make for a pretty poor workplace and people will start jumping ship, right? Poor leadership can be a major reason for someone to just look for a new job. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to work for people who act as if they don't care for me. And I say act as if some managers do care, they just don't show it very well. And well, we've all probably worked for a manager who just doesn't care, right? Been there, done that a time or two, right? And so if you don't feel like your leadership is giving you the support and the guidance that's needed, or if you just don't feel like they value you or value the work you do, then it could be a sign that, yeah, it's time for a career change, right? And so if you have transitioned a career, found another job because of the leadership, drop leadership in the comments and let me know that as well. Because I know it's been a couple of 3, 4 times I've actually did a career transition because of poor leadership, right? You may also want to consider changing careers if the culture of your workplace isn't one that really appeals to your interests, your values, or your personality type. It kind of feeds back into the leadership if they change their work culture. And you kind of like, I just rather do something else than be here. Right. And that kind of leads into the third one, culture. Right. We're talking about the culture, the way you work together, the way your team works together, as a whole. And it's really important that that culture be a healthy, contribute to a really healthy workplace. Sometimes, when you get a shift in leadership and they just bring about a different way of doing business. And sometimes it's for the better, but sometimes you may not necessarily feel just a kinship to the new direction that the company is going in. And that can, kind of sour people on their jobs, right? Especially if if the culture becomes toxic or was already toxic and it just gets worse. A toxic culture is very unhealthy for everybody involved, not just you, but everybody there, including the customers you serve. If you're forward facing for customers or even internal customers, toxic cultures, toxic workplaces is just really unhealthy, right? And what do we say? What do we mean by unhealthy? It can cause hypertension, additional stress, anxiety. Some people don't have anxiety because they're in a toxic workplace. They get anxiety because they're dealing with so much stress all the time, right? And the thing is also the longer you stay in a toxic culture, a toxic workplace, the harder it can be to leave. And sometimes you become tainted just by virtue of the fact you've worked with this organization and everyone kind of knows them for being toxic. And I've seen that happen. I've spoken to someone who actually said, yeah, when we get applications from people from that organization, we always put them at the bottom of the list because we know about that organization. However unfair that may be, because you may be getting out because you're not toxic. But again, you can kind of get tainted the longer you stay in a toxic workplace. And that's another reason why it is good for you to leave that workplace. So again, if you have left the workplace because the culture took a nosedive or was just toxic, put toxic or culture in the comments for me and let me know that you did that, right? And so this, when we talk about a toxic workplace, this can happen when companies just fail to address the serious issues. If there's sexual harassment, if there's a lot of racial bias, microaggressions in the workplace, discrimination based on gender or race, your religion, where you're from, right? It can really lead people, when you bring those concerns and they're never addressed, it, you kind of, and then you're, especially if you're ostracized because you brought up, those things, you don't feel supported. And of course, you leave, right? If you are thinking, however, about changing careers, because I've met folks that said, I might as well stay here in this toxic environment because this is like the second or third job that I've had. The last one was toxic. This one's toxic. Toxic. Why bother? Well, here's the thing: before you make that leap, if you're thinking of changing careers, consider what kind of culture you actually want. What is it? What kind of culture? What is it present there? Helpful boss, coworkers, no coworkers, totally remote work, hybrid. What kind of culture do you actually want? Think about that. Then, how will your new job contribute to the culture you want? Because there are some jobs that they're just known to be toxic. They're just, known to, it's referred to as when cultures, they certain careers eat their young, meaning that when people come on board in that career, everybody knows that you dog those younger people out, those newer people, you dog them out, you eat your young. There's some work, careers that is it's known for it. So really, if you change careers and you're still within that career field, you really have to do some digging and some really deep digging to find where the cultures are, right? And it's fairly simple. I mean, I typically coach my clients to do an EOC complaint on XYZ company XYZ. If there are issues and it has risen to the nature of an EOC complaint, you will find it on Google. It's there for you to read. And I got to tell you, I've been amazed at some of the things I've read out there, for companies who've had EOC complaints. Of course, you have Glassdoor, you have sites like that, right? Where you can go out. And then sometimes I just tell my clients, Google complaints on company XYZ. If people are complaining, if it's toxic enough, you will find lots of complaints there. And so you got to read carefully, because if the complaints are 10 years old and there's been nothing recent, they may have changed. That culture may have changed. But if you keep getting a lot of recent complaints, like a year old, 6 months old, 2 years old, 3 years old, then it's probably not a place you should do a career change to, right? And so, it's also not a good thing to stay in your old job because, well, it does pay well, or I might get an advance here, because you need to think about your health as well as what the money is. Because if you get the advancement in your career, you get all the money that you want, but you got hypertension, you have diabetes, you develop cancer, you develop lupus, you develop any of those things, your health is really not worth any amount of money, right? So that's why it's so important to to look at the culture you're in, look at the culture you're going to. Ask for information interviews. Get on LinkedIn, find out who who's at this new company you're thinking about working in, and do an information interview. People tend to be pretty much honest. They're fairly up above board with you when you do information interviews. And you don't want to go in as like, is it toxic, or this. Ask, what do you enjoy most about your job? What do you find the most challenging about your job? How long do you look to stay here? How long have you been here? What's the best supervisor you've ever had? What's been the most challenging supervisor you've ever had? Those are some of the questions you can start to get at without outright asking it, is your culture toxic, right? So number three reason why people, are we on number three? I think no. Yeah. Nope. Wrong. Number four. One, two, three, four. Huh. I'm behind one. Flexibility. That's a big thing right now. If you are looking or found another job because you wanted flexibility, or you're currently looking something because you're looking for flexibility of work schedule, drop flexibility in the comments for me, right? Really important now. If you have kids, you want to be there, spend more time with it. If you're thinking about getting married or recently married, or you're in a relationship, you want to have time, right, to put in that relationship. Or if you just like me, you're an introvert and sometimes you just enjoy your alone time, you don't want to be in an office around a lot of people, flexibility is really, really important, right? And for some folks, they get it by working from home. You can spend more time with your family and loved ones because you can use that extra time that you will use to commute. You can use it to get more things done. Take classes or attend seminars that will really help grow your career. I did this when back in 2020, March 2020, when we all went out to telework, or a lot of us did. I actually became a certified hypnotherapist with my extra time. I got about 3 hours back to my day, and that is what I did. I took one of Jason Linnett's class. If you haven't, don't know Jason Linnett, look him up. Totally terrific instructor. But I took one of his classes and I became a certified hypnotherapist, right? And I've since gone on to be, certified by Stephanie as well, Stephanie Ho from New York. So I am a hypnotherapist now. And so that's one of the services that I offer along with my coaching, right? And it has really helped to shift. When I shifted to telework, I was able to do that. And so you can reclaim, as Maxine Ward says, reclaim your time. I reclaimed that time and spent it on me, right? Getting certified as a hypnotherapist so I can offer more services to people. And so, flexibility can be obviously a challenge in some jobs. Sometimes you got to be present to do it. That's what led to me resigning from my full-time job with the Navy. They're like, yeah, no, we don't care. Your risk with COVID, not really concerned about that. You need to be in the office. And I said, I do not need to be in the office because I don't want to take that risk. So I resigned and started running both of my companies full time. It's really worked out well. It's been about a year and a half, and it was a right decision for me, right? And so I was just blessed that I've have two companies and I can make that. And so really, career change may be the move you need to make, right? If you're finding that your positions just doesn't offer the flexibility. And that's why we have the big shift, the great resignation, the great migration, is people are shifting around trying to find that flexible work schedule that fits in with them. I mean, I love it. Every Friday I'm off. I don't just live until the weekend. I love being off on Fridays. That's just my thing. Love it, love it, love it. Some people love being off Monday. So really, when you have the flexible schedule, you can really work the hours, right? That suit you, right? So number five, right? Talk about the five reasons that actually did I do a might give a little extra bonus here. We'll see. We'll see. So this is a big one. You no longer believe in the mission of your company. It happens. We talked about sometimes when new management comes and there's a shift in the direction you're going, and really there's a lot of people now that they want to work for a company that stands for something or that believes in, if it's environmentalism, if that's your thing, taking care of the environment, they really want to work for an organization that's important to. So whatever your beliefs are, your values are, whatever that is, some of us just really want to work with the company that those values align, right? And you may now have a problem with their mission. It could have shifted, right? The values can shift, the leadership can shift, the culture can shift. And these factors can really impact your work environment and your motivation as well. Yeah, some of us are motivated by that paycheck every week or every 2 weeks or every month, whenever you get paid. But some of us just are not. Yeah, I need the money to live. I get that, but that's not my motivation to do the job. It's this cause that I believe in, be it, under resourced communities, right? If it's the environment, whatever that is, you want your company's mission to align with your values and your mission. So, a less than ideal situation can occur if you continue working for a company that, has an excellent product, but it's just not aligned with your own personal values. It increases stress, it increases anxiety, and it increases dissatisfaction. And this can often happen when there's this air of ethical issues that are introduced and you're being asked to do things that ethically don't agree with or they just rub against what you believe in. It really does, like I said, it increases stress over time, it increases anxiety and job dissatisfaction over time. The better thing to do is, like, when you see that going on, you see it happening, just, it's great to get a career coach who can really coach you through to find companies, right? If you Google, companies who really believe the environment, there's a whole list of companies out there if that's your thing. So start there. Google all the companies who believe in the values you do, who have the same values, and you can start looking at those companies and following the jobs and see where your skills and your assets fit in that new company. So you don't have to stay with someone that you just no longer, align with their values or their mission, right? And so I do have a sixth one here. I'd like to give you a little extra, right? I think I did seven is what I did. I said five, but I think it's seven because I got all excited when I was doing this. And so I was like, five's not going to do, let's do seven. So the next one is you are unhappy at work. Just unhappy. Yeah. When you're unhappy at work, it can seem like changing careers is your only option, right? And this is true if you tried everything you can at that current job to improve your work experience. You tried job shadowing, you've spoken to your supervisor, you've actively moved to a new team, you've accepted new assignments, you've shifted, you've just done everything to make it work and make that career more fulfilling, but nothing's worked. You become unhappy. It's just time to move. But if you are thinking about making a major change, here are five things for you to consider before you leave that current job or before you shift industries entirely. Number one, really evaluate what makes you happy in that job. Because oftentimes a job is not all miserable, right? It's not all bad. There are some things that you really light up and you love to do, right? So really evaluate what makes you happy about this job. Number two, what part of it leaves you feeling fulfilled and energized and successful? Like, yes, like when I do this, oh man, it just energizes me. And then on the other hand, number three, what really brings you down? What part of that job just, whenever you think about it, you just go, oh, here we go again, right? And then is there any way you can address what brings you down? Can those issues be addressed? Sometimes it can't, and sometimes you've already done everything you can, and you're just looking for what brings you down to be sure you don't get the same thing in that new job, right? And are those issues like what brings you down on that job? Do those issues lie within you, right? Is it a lack of self confidence? Is it a lack of you just bored? You don't like it anymore? Or is it really due to external factors like an unsupportive manager, a bullying team member, or you just don't like the culture or the mission change? You don't like that change. So really look at what don't you like, what brings you down, and can those issues be addressed? And those issues, do they lie within you or is it external factors? And that's important because that information is good to know when you go looking for the next job. And that'll get you from feeling like you're jumping from the pot to the frying pan. You're in a toxic environment or in a job that bored the daylights out of you, and then you jumped into another, right? Another thing to do is get a career coach, and they can help you go through this so you don't jump from the pot to the frying pan into another frying pan, and each job just being unfulfilling and making you happy. All right. And then finally, consider alternative approaches and solutions that might bring more happiness into each day at work. Even if the changes are minor changes or if they're big, huge changes, the huge change would be, of course, well, quit the job and find something else, right? And sometimes within a company, depending on how big it is, you can go from one division to another division, or one section to another, or one team to another. I know a lot of the techs do that. You're on a team and you can literally switch teams within an organization, so you don't have to leave the job, but you can transfer, do a career shift within the same organization, right? And I've done that as well. Okay. So really, let's just face it, we spend more time at work than pretty much anywhere. As most of us do anyway. And if your job is really making your life miserable, it truly is worth looking for something better. Why be miserable on your job and you're spending 8, 9, 10, and for folks doing 12-hour shifts, 12, 13 hours at that job? And here's the thing, finding the perfect job isn't just easy, right? The perfect career that's for you. There's no perfect job, but there's a job that's perfect for you. It can be exhausting and it can be frustrating. That said, we do believe that everyone deserves to be or deserves to feel fulfilled by their careers, right? You spend enough time in it, why not feel like it's fulfilling to you? And if you're looking to make a career change, that's really great. You have several options available to you. It's really an exciting time, but also a little intimidating. I have, I work with women, many of whom have spent 10, 15 years in the same job. So yeah, it can be a little intimidating. It can be a little overwhelming to think like 15 years and I got to change jobs now. I met a lady said I haven't interviewed in 21 years. That can feel very intimidating. So figure out where you want to go, and how to get there can seem like a huge undertaking at first glance, but follow these steps here. And I do hope that this advice is helpful. But here's the thing: if you need just a little bit of support and you want to really look at things and take a look at what's available, and your next few steps, go ahead and schedule a 15-minute career solution call with me today. Right? You can schedule that call, and go ahead and drop the link for you. Schedule that call. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And it's a great way that doesn't cost you anything. You can start looking at some of those next best steps for you, right? It'll be a Zoom call most of the time, unless you're somewhere and we have to do it over phone. Every blue moon, I'll get someone where Zoom is just not quite working the way they want it to, and then we'll do a call. But at any rate, it's a 15-minute career solution. Will bode you well, get you started, right? So I do appreciate you for sticking in until the end. And I will be off for the next 2 weeks. I'm going on vacation, taking a little break, or okay, a longer break. So I will be doing my next Wednesday night live in June, and I'll probably just drop some videos and some things I hope that you want to see. But in the meantime, I'll be live, right, next month, and I'll give you the date here so you can know when to look for it, because StreamYard won't let me schedule that far in advance. But Wednesday, June 8th, same bat time, same bat place, I'll be back here doing another live. And let me know if this was helpful for you. For those of you who joined live, thank you, thank you, thank you. For those of you who catch the replay, drop hashtag replay, and thank you for joining as well. And for folks that are catching this on Facebook, welcome and thank you for that. Those of you who are viewing this on LinkedIn, you are welcome as well. And those of you who are seeing this on YouTube, you're welcome as well. And I will see you next month.